Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one.
Otto Frank, Anne Frank's father, returned to the attic where the family hid from the Nazis. He was the only member of the family to survive. Funes Winstead, aged 9, and her husband Charlie Johns, aged 22, became a couple in Sneedville, Tennessee, United States in 1937. At the time, such marriages reflected distinct regional cultural contexts. A Jewish child shows her friend a dandelion she found while waiting outside the gas chambers. Auschwitz-Birkenau, May 1944. German soldiers raised the Nazi flag on the Acropolis in 1941. During the same period, 2 young Greeks removed the banner in an act of resistance, inspiring courage among the Greek people. Gangsters cover their faces during Al Capone's trial in 1931. Known as Scarface, Capone was convicted of tax evasion, marking a historic victory against organized crime in the United States. A salesman refueling his motorized roller skates in 1961, a popular 1960s invention that combined transportation and fun. Anita Ekberg serves Thanksgiving dinner in a photo from the 1960s. The actress, famous for La Dolce Vita, 1960, is seen in a traditional moment of the celebration, which brings families together in the United States to express gratitude. Photo of Broadway, New York City, in 1952. The area was a lively hub of theaters and lights, with large musical productions dominating the scene. The M497 Black Beetle jet-propelled train achieved the American rail speed record, reaching 183 miles per hour in 1966, a record that remains unbeaten. Champagne inspector in California wears a mask to protect himself from bottle explosions after the end of Prohibition in 1933. A mugshot of Bertha Baranda, the woman arrested in 1907 for cutting off her husband's genitals with a razor blade. This case caused a great stir at the time, as Baranda claimed she was a victim of abuse. In 1946, a notable incident occurred in Woolwich, London, when a train collided with a barrier. A Nazi field supervisor suppresses a smile while facing trial for abuse and mistreatment of prisoners. Many of the accused did not take the trial seriously, laughing and joking during the proceedings. A Chinese-American worker from Los Angeles during World War II wore a handwritten sign on his uniform in 1942 to avoid being mistaken for Japanese. An African-American soldier reads a message left by the Viet Cong during the Vietnam War. The message states, "African-American soldiers, you are committing the same shameful crimes in South Vietnam that the KKK commits against your families at home." These coins saved this soldier's life. They were in his pocket when he was wounded during World War I. To have good luck this year, type COIN in the comments. Argentine soldiers pose with a penguin during the Falklands War in 1982. This conflict began due to the dispute over sovereignty of the Falkland Islands, a British territory in the South Atlantic. A girl dancing on top of a Marmon car in Southern California in 1926. Marmon was a luxury car brand, popular at the time, symbolizing the style and freedom of the 1920s. A Serbian soldier rests next to his father, who visited him on the front line near Belgrade between 1914 and 1915. During World War I, Serbia faced Austro-Hungarian invasions, suffering heavy losses, but demonstrating great resilience. In the Miss Lovely Eyes contest, held in Florida during the 1930s, participants wore masks to cover the rest of their faces, allowing only their eyes to be judged. This photograph illustrates the everyday experiences of children during that period, emphasizing widespread poverty and the difficult living standards at the close of the 19th century. Ben Hurley Davidson was a notable motorcycle racer, renowned for his participation in unusual competitions, such as motorized chariot races in New South Wales in 1936. Don Meade and Herb Fisher face off at the Kentucky Derby, one of the most famous horse races in the United States, held annually in Louisville since 1875. The image taken in Ontario, Canada in 1910 shows an elderly man cooking. It depicts everyday life at the time without modern kitchen tools. On October 20th, 1960, in Rome, Anita Ekberg uses a bow and arrow to keep paparazzi away. Famous for La Dolce Vita, 1960, the actress faced intense photographer harassment in the city. A Ukrainian-American woman celebrates the end of Stalin in 1953. Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union, was responsible for repressive policies and severe purges during his rule. United States Army nurses rest beside a twin 40mm cannon on a Coast Guard vessel returning from Europe in 1945. In 1955, what is now the Las Vegas Strip was in its early stages of development. At that time, the area began transforming into an iconic hub of entertainment and gambling. An American soldier poses wearing the crown of the Holy Roman Empire in a cave located in Siegen, Germany, on April 3, 1945. Siegen was an important cultural and industrial center, marked by the discovery of historical relics during World War II. Alphonse Bertillon created the standardized system of police portraits in 1912, used for recording criminals. Bertillon was a pioneer in criminology, introducing identification methods based on physical measurements. A shootout between police and George Farley in Los Angeles, 1938. Farley, a notorious outlaw of the era, was infamous for his clashes with law enforcement. This event occurred during a peak of social and criminal unrest in the city. The London Bridge in 1890, over the River Thames. Opened in 1831, it was sold in 1968 and moved to Arizona, USA. The image highlights the historical importance of the bridge as a symbol of 19th century engineering. This image was taken in Japan 100 years ago during the Taisho period, 1912 to 1926, reflecting the fashion and Western influences of the time. The image shows a woman in Harlem, New York City, in 1965, during a time of social challenges and the civil rights movement. A photograph showing the USS Shaw exploding during the Japanese assault on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, in Hawaii, an event that propelled the United States into World War II. A 1918 photo from the Washington, D.C. area shows a hunting scene, which was popular after World War I, when many people enjoyed outdoor activities. Ice mask, created by Max Factor in the United States in the 1940s to reduce facial swelling. The makeup artist was a pioneer in the cosmetics and movie makeup industry. Charles Lindbergh, at 11 years old, standing beside his dog, 1912. Lindbergh would later achieve fame for his groundbreaking solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean in 1927. The J. Platterall's Cart, van and carriage works factory located in Buckinghamshire, England, in 1903, was known for manufacturing freight wagons, carriages, and commercial vehicles. In October 1975, Emperor Hirohito of Japan visited Disneyland in Anaheim, California, and was captured in a photograph with Mickey Mouse, marking a significant cultural exchange. Comedian George Carlin was arrested on May 27, 1972, for violating obscenity laws in Wisconsin after performing his controversial act, 7 Words You Can Never Say, on television. The case sparked debates about freedom of speech in the United States. The man who started World War I. In Sarajevo, 1914, the attacker Gavrilo Princip was detained immediately after shooting Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Image of anti-aircraft rockets on launchers aimed at the Florida Strait during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. This confrontation was one of the tensest moments of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. In 1896, Athens hosted the rebirth of the modern Olympic Games, representing the first event after centuries of dormancy. The contest included athletes from 13 nations. Hay cutting in Cognes, Italy, 1959. During this period, hay gathering was essential for feeding livestock in rural areas. Workers of the Royal Mail sorting holiday parcels at the Mount Pleasant sorting office in London on November 7, 1939, making sure gifts reached their destinations despite the early days of World War II. A 1956 photo shows people drinking coffee, reflecting the beverage's popularity in social gatherings after World War II. A historic image of a war veteran seeking assistance on the streets, highlighting the hardships endured by ex-servicemen following the significant conflicts of the 20th century. This photo shows the Venice Beach Mardi Gras Festival in 1935 in Los Angeles, California. The event celebrated Mardi Gras with parades, music, and dancing, attracting thousands of visitors. Apollo 1 crew rehearsing a water landing in 1966 as part of NASA's mission preparations. Apollo 1 suffered a tragic accident in 1967 during a launch test. A photograph by Ida Wyman, taken in 1945, shows New York City in the post-World War II period. Displayed at the Monroe Gallery of Photography, the image portrays the city during a time of transformation and social and cultural challenges. Women engaged in a card game while enjoying a public swimming pool in the 1920s, a period of shifting social norms and emerging recreational opportunities for women. This photo shows a mother homeschooling her children in Transylvania, Louisiana in 1937. At that time, many rural families did not have schools nearby, and home education was a common alternative. Transylvania is a small rural town. Rural store in Oklahoma, 1940. During this period, stores like this were essential to communities, offering food and tools, while the economy was still recovering from the Great Depression. The photo shows the B-24 bomber assembly line in 1943 at the United States Air Force factory in Fort Worth, Texas. The B-24 was crucial in World War II, standing out for its long range and bombing capacity. Thanksgiving in New York in the 1920s. The city was experiencing a period of great change, with skyscrapers and many cars on the streets, while the tradition of giving thanks remained strong. The photo shows the White House swimming pool in 1946, installed during the presidency of Franklin D. Roosevelt. In 1970, it was converted into the press briefing room, which is still used today for press conferences. Walter Zapashny with a lion in the Soviet Union in the 1960s. Zapashny was a well-known circus artist, famous for his performances with wild animals during a time when the circus was widely enjoyed in the Soviet Union. Alfred Hitchcock, a renowned British movie director, was traveling on the transatlantic liner Queen Mary in 1938. Rare photograph of a traffic accident in the Netherlands taken in 1914. It shows the early challenges of urban mobility, with cars still adapting to the roads. Photograph of an open-air school in the Netherlands in 1957. During this period, simple schools in rural areas were common, reflecting the teaching style of the time. Installation of a K6 telephone booth in London in the 1930s. Released in 1936, the K6, designed by Sir Giles Gilbert Scott, became a British icon, modernizing public telephone services. Detroit in the 1940s, when the city was a hub for car manufacturing and World War II supplies. Factories were at their peak. An image from the Memphis Zoo in Tennessee during the 1950s, a time when racial segregation restricted black visitors to Thursdays, a policy that would later be confronted by the civil rights movement. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes. Born in 1859 in Scotland, Doyle published A Study in Scarlet in 1887, introducing the famous detective. Besides being a writer, he was a doctor and a supporter of spiritualism. Models resting on a street corner in Milan, Italy, in 1951, when the city was beginning to establish itself as a global fashion center after World War II. The image shows clothes drying on lines between buildings in New York City around 1900. It was a common practice in the city, reflecting urban life in the early 20th century, a period of rapid growth and industrialization. In 1925, in Germany, a group of young people used bicycle tubes tied to their bodies as support for swimming, an improvised solution for learning how to float. In 1964, chess genius Bobby Fischer played against 50 challengers at once in New York. At only 21 years old, he demonstrated his exceptional talent, further cementing his global reputation. Photograph of the Hot Wheels assembly line in the 1960s. Released in 1968 by Mattel, these toys quickly became an icon, shaping the childhoods of many generations. The world's first recorded complaint dates back to 1750 BC, concerning the supply of inferior quality copper. This record was found on a cuneiform tablet from ancient Mesopotamia. A photograph taken in View Park, Los Angeles in 1928, depicting a film studio during the silent film era. This was a pivotal time for Hollywood as it transitioned into the era of talking pictures, signaled by the debut of the jazz singer. A scene from the 1900 Exposition Universelle in Paris, which ran from April 15th to November 12th. The exhibition highlighted groundbreaking advancements like cinema and the escalator, drawing 50 million attendees. The Eiffel Tower stood as a defining symbol of the event. A kangaroo pushing a woman who was trying to take a picture of it in Australia in the 1960s. The incident highlights the dangers of interacting with wild animals. Central Park in New York City in 1942, during World War II. The park provided a place for New Yorkers to relax during difficult times. In 1961, a girl in Paris reads about Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space, after his historic flight on April 12th. The photo shows the global impact of the achievement. Woman in motorcycle attire in France in 1905. During this period, women began challenging norms by riding motorcycles, symbolizing innovation and freedom in an era of great technological advancements. A photograph of Nick Nolte at 20 years old in 1961, after being convicted for distributing fake draft cards. He was handed a 45-year prison sentence, which was ultimately suspended by a court ruling. A couple taking their baby ice skating in the 1930s, during a popular leisure activity at outdoor rinks, even amid the Great Depression. Margaret Bourke-White posing on the eagle-shaped gargoyle of the Chrysler Building in New York City around 1930. The building, completed that year, was the tallest in the world, and Bourke-White was a pioneer in photojournalism. A French ambassador welcomes an American soldier 2 days after the liberation. Strasbourg, France, November 22, 1944. This was an important milestone in the city's liberation. The image shows the 1938 New Year's Eve celebrations in Times Square, New York City. The event, which drew large crowds, is a tradition that began in the 1920s to welcome the new year. In this photo from the 1950s, a couple gets into a BMW Isetta. Created in Germany, the Isetta had a front door and was known for its compact design and efficiency. being produced between 1954 and 1962. This photo shows a wooden treadmill from the 1920s used for exercise. Before electric ones, people manually powered treadmills to improve their health and fitness. Workers taking a break at St. John's Ridge in Portland in 1931 during the Great Depression, when the city was experiencing rapid urban growth. A steam-powered robot attached to a cart with wheels, 1870s. This kind of creation mirrors the progress of the Industrial Revolution, during which steam engines inspired forward-thinking projects. The Mari-Lwyd tradition is an old Welsh Christmas custom, observed in Llangynwyd for centuries. In 1910, this unique ceremony featured a figure with a horse skull, symbolizing wealth. The Tower of London's gardens were converted into vegetable gardens for food production during World War II. This initiative was part of the Dig for Victory program, urging the British population to plant food in urban areas to aid the war effort. The building of the United States Treasury in Washington, D.C. in 1861 was a landmark event in both architecture and administration. The building of the East Boston Subway Tunnel. This innovative project, which began in 1898, marked a significant achievement in subterranean engineering, employing advanced technology of the era and requiring substantial labor. A conscription notice from the American Civil War sent to Frederick Mann, New York, 1863. This document represents the introduction of compulsory military service in the United States during the war. A Coca-Cola advertisement was created by spreading grains throughout St. Mark's Square in Venice in 1960. This event marked a milestone in advertising, using a creative and innovative approach. Piotr Kemi, a young Polish man who survived a concentration camp, is prepared to face the consequences of his actions after being convicted of attacking a German family. In 1911, a major breakthrough occurred in Ohio with the introduction of the modern washing machine. The Bevan boys preparing to enter the mines at Markham Colliery, Yorkshire, England, 1943. During the Second World War, the British government enlisted men to work in coal mines, an essential step to support the war effort. Aircraft engineer Max Wiedenhoft conducting trials on his rocket-propelled bicycle in Germany, 1932. Wiedenhoft was a trailblazer in exploring alternative propulsion systems. A horse being removed from a mine, dated 1896. This type of task was common during industrial periods when animals were used to transport heavy loads in mines. Madeline Smith, British actress, famous for playing a Bond girl in Live and Let Die, 1973. The photo was taken in the 1970s during the peak of her career. The movie marked Roger Moore's debut as James Bond. Yoshio Kodaira, a Navy veteran accused of various crimes, is taken to court with his face hidden by a straw hat. In addition to assaulting several Japanese women, he confessed to committing numerous abuses during the war in China in 1947